Well, I'm Ferrari King, and welcome back to the greatest channel on YouTube. Today, we're going to talk a bit about, the New Testament. A lot of people, sorry about the quality of this, I'm not the best at this stuff, and I'm trying to keep this video up. But anyways, we're going to discuss a little bit about the New Testament, Is the New Testament an improvement over the Old Testament? I have my Bible, and of course I have a bunch of verses. But anyways, before I start, a lot of times, I've said it, I've heard others say it, and, religion can make good people do pretty bad stuff. Religion itself can make good people do bad stuff. It can make bad people do even worse stuff. Now, that is true, but I want to add another thing to that, because I want to discuss that a little bit also in the video, but it's mainly going to be religion, the New Testament. Also, ideology, as you can tell, this is the same way. If people are extreme left, extreme right, they tend to be violent, nasty, obnoxious people. They don't want to listen to what the other side has to say. The other side is evil, mean-spirited, and cruel, and all that stuff, and they'll respond with violence towards the other person. They don't stop to think, to listen to, opposing views, because, they don't think, well, maybe I could be wrong, They don't try to relate to the other person. It's the tribal mentality, hey, maybe we could try, to relate. Same with the religious people, because that's kind of what religion teaches you anyways, tribalism. And I'll show you the New Testament is not any different, because it does tell you to separate from among them. It's pretty good at telling you that. New Testament also, not just Old Testament. And some people, when they mention the New Testament, they only want to talk about Jesus. So we're going to talk about some stuff that, Jesus says. I always like to say Jesus instead of Jesus. But anyways, because he is pretty clear about some of these things too. One of the things Jesus says, and I mentioned it here too, is, and you hear this all the time. People will say, well, Jesus hung out with sinners and all this stuff, and said that, the healthy don't need a doctor, but the people who are sick. Well, yeah, you are right, but you're kind of picking and choosing. What I mean by that, it's kind of hard to get this thing to stay. But what I mean by that is you're picking and choosing because Jesus expected them to get saved, to follow him, or burnt in hell for all eternity. He even says it several times when he talks about separating the wheat from the chaff, and the chaff will be burned and all that stuff, He says it quite a bit. Actually read the New Testament, all right? Please read the New Testament. Read what Jesus says. Don't go for all this feel-good religion. Liberal Christians tend to do that more than the conservative Christians. Conservative Christians are more honest about what their Jesus says. But let's go ahead and start. And I'll go back and forth and everything. Now, Jesus thought the earth was flat. Matthew 4:8, and again the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. Luke 4:5-7. And of course, this is, an Idiot Atheist Reads Bible verses. So that's, oh yeah, I'm sorry. I should mention this too. I mainly do video games. That's mainly what I do, video game plays. I wish I had said this earlier. But anyways, it doesn't matter. Nobody's probably watching at this point anyways. But some devices, those gameplays will not show up. You'll only see my old playlists, like this stuff. But you won't see my gameplays. They won't show up at all. Computer, tablet, they might show up, but usually, like, for example, I have the Samsung Galaxy, it won't show up. Luke 4:5, it's a YouTube glitch on YouTube side. I already emailed them. Obviously, they're not going to fix it. You know how YouTube is. Luke 4:5-7, the devil led him up to a high place and showed him in an instant all the kingdoms of the world. And he said to him, I will give you all their authority and splendor, and it has been given to me, and I can give it to anyone I want to. If you worship me, it will be all yours. Also, you notice that he believes the earth is flat. And also, notice that verse where the devil is telling Jesus, all this is mine. And Jesus says several times, the devil is the god of this world. The point I'm trying to make, because the Bible says that again, it says it again, is that, damn, I lost my train of thought. I'm so dumb. But anyways, He tells you, he's the God of this world. The reason why I'm saying that is because also later on in the New Testament, further up, let's see if I had the verse. I may or may not. Yeah, here it is. James 4, verse 4. Ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with God? Whosoever therefore is a friend of the world is the enemy of God. Basically, and it tells you again like Philippians, I don't remember the exact verse, I don't even think I wrote it down for some strange reason. But it's in Philippians. It tells you specifically to abstain from these people to these things, You don't want to give an appearance of evil. You're not supposed to go to the movies or drink or party or any of that type of stuff, Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, here it is. I do have it written down. 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 20. Also Philippians, you do need to read that. Abstain from all appearance of evil. And read that whole verse. 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 22. It's pretty clear that you can't be the friend of the world. You can't hang out with people in this world. And Jesus is pretty clear of that too. People like to mention, he tells the Pharisees, take the beam out of your eye, don't judge. Oh, you Pharisees, you're hypocrites and all this stuff. That is because that he's telling them that for one reason. These people are claiming that they're claiming to be Jews, following their laws and stuff, but they're breaking the laws themselves. Christians do it, true. You're right. Can't argue with you there. And you are right to bring that up. Here's the problem, though. He's also talking about their ceremonies. Only the Catholic Church really has ceremonies. They're not the only ones, but mainly the Catholic Church. And Jesus never tells them that they're not actually saved. Notice that. Notice he never tells them once that they're not saved. Never. Think about that. He tells the prostitute, he draws the line in the sand, don't forget, he tells her, don't sin no more. I see nothing wrong with you, because she's confessing her sins. There's no accusers anymore. And of course, Jesus believed in the flood. Luke 17, verse 26, Matthew 12:40, Jesus mentions Noah. He mentions the flood. Like the days of Noah, he'll kind of like a thief in the night, and it's going to come quick and all that stuff. And then, of course, you got the genealogy. Where's that at? I don't think I had the exact... Oh, we have Luke chapter 3, verse 23 through 38. It gives you Jesus' genealogy all the way to Adam through Noah. And therefore, he admits that Noah and Adam and Eve existed. So I would like to hear the liberal Christians try to explain that away, because you don't want to believe a 6,000-year earth. And I agree with you. You're smart for not doing that. You know that stuff is not true. But how do you confirm that? And it's true, like I said earlier. The Bible does bring out the worst in people, religion, and the same with ideology. Because, and people don't want to hear this, but people are basically thoughtless, rude, and cruel. They're not going to be able to think about this. Like, for example, this morning, I'm driving. I wanted to switch lanes. I saw another car coming a little bit faster. Now, most people don't think ahead. Like, well, this guy's coming. I could just let him go first and then switch the lanes. Most people won't do that. They just switch so the guy has to slow down, or maybe go around him. I don't do that. I let him pass me. Then I switch lanes. Most people won't do crap like that for others. People cannot think of this. The way people are when they think they're alone, like on the internet and stuff, that's their true personality. That's why people are nasty and rude on the internet. That's why you got certain groups of people, they wear masks and they attack in large groups. They wear masks and they view the hatred. I'm not talking about just Antifa now. There are people on the right that wear the little hooded masks and do the same thing. It's because they want that anonymity. They have to make sure that they're basically that no one knows who they are, so they can show their true, violent, disgusting, hateful, bigoted self. Because they are bigoted. Bigotry, both the left and the right, are bigots. If you cannot handle other people's opinions and you want to shut down other people's viewpoints, whether it's religion or anything like that, yeah, you're a bigot. Now, I'm not talking about an atheist making videos like this simply because I'm not forcing anyone to watch my videos. I'm not calling Christians idiots or fools or dumbasses because they're not. I understand why they believe this stuff, and I am not going to insult them for their beliefs. They have a right to believe it. They just don't have the right to put their beliefs on others. And if you want to know about Islam, why I don't mention that, right? Well, here I am. Why is Islam protected? Why is it? Why is Islam protected? You know, if you say anything about Islam, you're an Islamophobe. Well, I hate to tell you this. I don't care about religion. I don't care politics, whatever. Whatever the idea, if this is science, everything has the right to be dissected and researched and viewed and, of course, argued for and against. Can you imagine how science would work if a scientist said, well, I believe this happened, so you have to believe me, or you're not a scientist. You're not going to be in science. You cannot protect. It don't work that way. If you can prove your point and get it through a peer-reviewed paper, you'll be respected. It doesn't work like that in religion or politics. Now, I don't care if you're a liberal or a conservative. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. I believe in free speech. Therefore, I believe you have a right to say what you want to say. You don't have a right to go in another neighborhood, it's a Jewish neighborhood or a black neighborhood or a white neighborhood, and say hateful stuff to them and, N-word this, or Jew this, or, calling Hispanics illegals and marching through their neighborhoods and stuff. That's not free speech. And, and to get off that a little bit, when I was at a fruit market Saturday, there was this guy, he got upset. Basically, the lady, he worked there, lady accused him of taking money. She didn't call the cops on the guy, just told him not to take the money. It's not yours, don't take our money. He goes off, has a nasty little rant, and the lady was Asian, of course. And so he's like, y'all need to get out of my country. I'm an American. I was born here. Y'all get out, and all this stuff. And he was saying to the Hispanics, too. And they were like there, he was just saying all these nasty stuff. He wasn't videotaped. But the thing is, though, even if he was, it would not have made the whole internet. Why? He was African American. The media is biased against everybody. They just want to make money. They need to inflame stuff. So they aren't going to show him. They'll show a white person do that. However, if a black person commits a crime, they will love to show that. They may not mention his race, but they will show it, and they love it. Think about it. So don't trust everything. Research everything. That's why every ideology, every idea needs to be discussed and talked about, including race and gender. Stop calling everybody that you disagree with racist, sexist, homophobe, and all that stuff. I realize some of y'all just are simple and you can't help that. You're just hateful and simple, and you just have to call anyone you disagree with like that, and you can't think of others. You are the most important thing. Can you imagine, though, if we all just simply try to get along with each other, listen to other people's viewpoints, realize maybe we are not always right, accept other people into our group, because that's really what it is. It's the tribal mentality. You're not part of my group, therefore you are an enemy. Big thing in this book, so I don't have to listen to you. You're the enemy. How about this? We're all human beings. All of us want what's best for the world, for our country, for ourselves, for our children, grandchildren, everything like that. All of us do. Well, almost all of us do. How about instead of being so hateful and everything, how about actually trying to listen to what the other side has to say? And think about others too. I'm doing this, I need to do this. How's it going to affect others? You're sitting in a restaurant, you're getting out of your seat. How about instead you look to see if somebody's coming first, and then you get out of your seat? How about when you're at a grocery store or something like that, you don't just expect people to talk to you. Maybe they're shy, maybe they just have a low voice, maybe they're not feeling well, maybe something bad's happened in their lives and they just really don't want to talk to anybody. Be respectful. Don't treat women like they're sex objects, and women, don't act like every guy is into you. Jesus uses slavery as parables. He does that a lot too. You beat your slaves. Some get less stripes and more stripes. It's in there. Read it. You'd be shocked. Paul was okay with slavery too. And Jesus does say he is the only way. I think it's Hebrews 11 verse 1. I think it is. I can't remember. Let me check. Nobody's really watching this at this point, so I can say whatever I want. I'm not going to say everything I want, but I know nobody's watching this. If you are, say, yeah, I know what mention the verse I'm mentioning right now when I get to Hebrews. Mention it in the comments section so I know you actually did watch this far, which I know nobody's going to because nobody can possibly be reading this. Let's see. It might be 11 verse 1, but if it's not, then that's the verse. But well, let's see. 11:1. Nope, it's not. Sorry. But it does give you a definition of faith. So write in the comment, yeah, I know the definition of what the Bible says about faith. 11:1 verse 1. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Basically, it's believing without evidence. That's what faith is. That's what belief is. That's what the Bible's definition of faith is. But Jesus does say, I am the truth, I am the light, there's no other way to the Father but through me. And he does, when he says before Abraham, I am, he's basically telling you he is God. So, and of course, both the New and Old Testament, the Old Testament says God always is, is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, never changes his mind. The New Testament says the same thing, but it says about Jesus. And let's not forget the fact that he does change his mind a lot. And of course, I like one of my favorite. This is the Old Testament, though, Adam and mortality, because it does mention Adam. Okay. Now you'll hear a lot of Christians. They'll say when Adam ate the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, that's how sin and death entered into the world, so he was no longer immortal, so he lived 900-some years. However, why is it that, and I got this from watching the Atheist Experience, why is it then God was afraid of him eating from the tree of life? Why would he say, don't eat from the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil? Remember, he forbid both fruits. Well, if he's eating from the tree of life and make him immortal, but he's already immortal, why would God care? And of course, if Adam didn't know what sin was, that means he doesn't know that, hey, if I eat this fruit, it's disobedience, it's bad, because he wouldn't know good versus evil. So how would he know that? And was Adam immortal before he ate the fruit of knowledge of good and evil? And of course, another part, because you'll hear, oh, Jesus is a socialist and all this stuff. Well, let's get rid of that idea. Jesus whips the money changers. You find that in John 2, verses 13 through 17, where he drives out the money changers. Oh, man, this part. They were in the temple changing money. It tells you that in this book. That's what pissed him off. He didn't care about people buying or selling. He mentions, hey, get the colt, the donkey, get the money, buy this and all that stuff. He had no problem with capitalism, okay? He wasn't a socialist. Well, he gave free healthcare. He healed the sick and everything. Yeah, but he expected them to follow his ass or burn in hell for all eternity. Not exactly a socialist idea. Don't work, don't eat. 2 Thessalonians 3, verse 10. For even when we were with you, we gave you this rule. For one who is unwilling to work shall not eat. That's not exactly socialism, is it? You got a lot of these people that are on government assistance, and a lot of them don't want to work, and they don't work, and the Bible's pretty clear in the New Testament they shouldn't be eating. Is there anything else? Well, oh yeah, another thing though, about the gaslighting, you know what gaslighting is. If you don't, please Google it. But both the far left and the far right gaslight each other. They eat, but you have people on the far left. Well, they are gaslighting us. People on the far right, they gaslight us. No, you both gaslighting each other. Okay, you're both the bad guy. Sorry, but you are. Make sure there's nothing else missing. There's a whole lot more, obviously. I'll probably remember after I'm done. Hebrews 10:25, not forsake. Oh, yeah. Going to church. You hear a lot of preachers talk about that, don't go to church. You don't have to go to church. Or, the Bible says Jesus is our shepherd. You don't have to go to church today. You can. That's what you hear Christians say that now, don't you? You hear that, right? Don't you? Don't you? Huh? Well, Hebrews 10, verse 25, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as the manner of some are. That sounds like you have to go to church. Read that whole thing. You see, it tells you that. Read 1st and 2nd Corinthians. It makes it pretty clear you have to go to church. And Jesus is a hell-brand preacher. He preaches about hell and sin. Oh, yeah, here's some more. Yeah, I mentioned that bigotry thing already, though. Let me take this off real quick. You know, religion and ideology, yeah, they bring out the violence in everybody. You know, I mentioned the guy at that fruit market. Bigotry comes in all forms, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, right, left, they're all capable of it. But that's it, you know. If I come up with something else, oh well, too bad for me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Don't forget to watch my other videos. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to check out the description where I sell ebooks for 99 cents. Thanks for watching. I don't know what else much to say. I hope one day people wake up and realize that, you know, we need to work together, stop treating everybody like they're the outsider, and, you know, realize, you know, maybe kindness is better. You know, think about others, put ourselves in other people's positions, you know, think about how our actions are going to affect someone else. Maybe we could, even if it's slightly inconvenience for us, you're still inconvenience for the other person too. You're just making it more convenient, you know. Try thinking about others. You want others to treat you right, do that the same thing. It is the golden rule in this book, and it's the golden rule in a lot of other religions. And I don't think all religions are evil. I do not hold Islam high above any other religion. They all have a right to be criticized. You're not an Islamophobe because you do. But anyways, thanks for watching.